Sometimes the biggest risk you can take is betting on yourself, leaving security, stepping into uncertainty, and choosing to build something that hasn't been handed to you. Tonight's guest is someone who did exactly that, turning passion into purpose and purpose into creation. Because when you decide your own story, everything changes. Let's get into it. Smoke and Ice begins now.
Welcome to Smoke and Ice with Kelly Allen. This is the podcast where you're not only informed, but entertained. Sit back, relax, and remember, where there's smoke, there's fire, and you can't chill without ice. Now, here's your host, Kelly Allen.
You have entered another episode of Smoke and Ice, where smoke meets sophistication and ice meets intensity. I'm Kelly. Today's guest is a self-published author, filmmaker, and founder of a production company based in Charlotte, North Carolina, a creative who made the decision to take full ownership of his vision and his voice. Originally from Brooklyn, New York, his passion for storytelling was shaped by powerful influence like Spike Lee and the legendary Stephen King, driving him to create stories that are not only Kelly, but carry universal impact. After years of dedication and believing in his craft, he made the bold decision to walk away from stability and fully invest in his creative path, ultimately producing his first feature film, a project rooted in real life struggle, growth, and transformation. But his work goes beyond film and writing. He's committed to giving back, mentoring youth, teaching storytelling through workshops, and co-founding a nonprofit organization focused on supporting underserved communities through mentorship and education. Tonight, we're talking about ownership, storytelling, sacrifice, and what it really takes to build something meaningful from the ground up. Please help me welcome to Smoke and Ice, Peter McNeil. Welcome.
That was the most beautiful introduction I had since. That was incredible. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Listen, I try and give flowers. I say it's all the time. I give flowers what flowers I do. And when someone makes such an impact, and when someone is so passionate about what they do, I've got to tell it. I just have to. Just have to. So thank you. So we're going to get started from the very beginning. Growing up in Brooklyn, what first sparked your interest in storytelling the film?
Man, it all started way back in, I was born and raised in Coney Island, New York. Okay, that's a section in Brooklyn, New York, Coney Island. Mm-hmm. And TV pretty much shaped my view on storytelling to begin with. But I want to start really back in Coney Island when my mom gave me up for adoption. Okay, mm-hmm. I remember those years vividly as a young child, probably like 4, 5, 6. It was just I don't know. I use the word dreary times because everybody was kind of poor. Nobody really had money like that, and specifically my mom, did the best she could as far as raising me. But I can just remember the apartment we lived in, and it was always dark. It was always a dark setting. Even if the windows was open and the light from outside poured in, it was just dark and dreary. So I remember the first and last time my mom spoke to me, she kneeled down and told me she loved me and that she was unable to raise me. And she was giving me up for adoption. I remember this tall white lady was in our apartment, and she gave me a kiss on the cheek, gave me a little brown bag with some snacks, and that was the last time I saw my mom. That was in 1972. But going to my foster guardian in East New York section of Brooklyn, that's when I met Miss Edna Anderson, who became my foster guardian for 6 years. And I always make the comparison. I told you about living with my biological. It was kind of just a dark period. When I went into my foster guardian's home, it was just light and bright. Okay, it was just that contrast, and that was my 6-year period with my foster guardian, and that's when I met my future brother as well. But that shaped me as far as I was very, very observant at a very young age because of everything that was happening at that time. So pretty much TV became my best friend. So I watching all kinds of movies and sitcoms and the Batman's, Robins, the Cooley Highs, the Twilight Zone, Invasion of the Body Snatcher. Those were like the key visual mediums that really shaped my storytelling. Those were the seeds back then planted. I didn't know there were seeds at the time, but I was just always enthralled with storytelling back then. Didn't know why, but I just enjoyed it. It was just a feeling of comfort. So everything started back then. Okay, hopefully I answered that question.
No, you definitely did, and that's fine because I love the story, and I think because I'm gonna go off a little bit right now.
Yes.
Storytelling happens when the creativity was formed out of making something out of what could be for most tragic, but you took that and you were able to take yourself into your mind and create the situations that you wanted to. And so many of us do that, but we don't know what to do with it. We don't write it down. We don't become creatives. Some of it can turn one way or the other, but that is so inspiring because for me, you took your situation and you made it into something real, and you took what you enjoyed and then you enhanced it and made it visual and something that everybody else can enjoy. So that's just amazing. I'm sorry. That's not even in whatever I has.
Well, you know what? And sometimes I take my upbringing for granted because when my my biological mother told me that she was giving me up for adoption, I didn't really show any emotion other than giving her a hug, accepting the kiss on my cheek, and just left. I didn't cry, I didn't bawl. But at that time, I became really reserved and really observant, and I don't really share that with a lot of people. I just took it with a grain of salt, okay? Because when I eventually became adopted in 79 by the McNeils, I was already at a point where I was kind of set in my own private ways, okay? And that was just life, okay? Because a lot of people was being fostered at the time that I was being fostered in around my block, down the street. I can remember vividly other kids was in the same situation as I was, and I thank God that I was raised in a private home as opposed into a foster system, Right. So I don't take a lot of times I take that story for granted because I don't share it, because people see me as this happy-go-lucky, always positive, person. Even before I wrote books, even before I did a movie, they just saw me as that. But they didn't know I held on to a lot. Okay, I went through a lot, and I just kept it private. But a lot of times, you gotta let people know where you come from because you might help somebody that's going through something similar as you as well.
Right. And a lot of times, our strength is already set in us of who we are and how we can be, right? And as we go through them, not because we have to, but because we are able to help someone else.
Yes.
And so that's why we are given what we're given. So you mentioned being inspired by Spike Lee and Stephen King. What was it about their work that made you say, I want to do this?
When I was, in my teenage years, I was just floating through life. Just really floating through life. Especially in high school, just didn't really have no aim for anything, no goals. So I wound up in the military, in the Army. That's from 85 to 88. And before I left home and went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, I brought a book with me. I don't know why, I just grabbed the book. Stephen King, okay? I forgot which one, Cujo or Pet Sematary. I think it was Pet Sematary. And that's when I started falling in love with reading. And eventually when I started writing home to either my girlfriend or my home girls, I fell in love with writing. Okay? At one point, it was just, now around this time, you're talking about 84, late 80, like early 85, when hip hop was really, really, really bubbling. All right?
Right.
Big Run DMC fan, LL, all that. So I would write like little rhymes to my girlfriend or my homegirls, all right? But over the course of the year, especially like around 86, I was writing full-blown, like 4 or 5 pages of stuff, just writing. And I realized at that time, it wasn't for them. I just loved doing it. They loved it when they got it. Like, wow, you all this, 10 pages, blah, blah, blah. But I found it was like therapeutic for me. I really enjoyed the reading and writing aspect. So I fell in love with Stephen King, Dean Koontz, John Grisham at the time, as far as reading. And eventually after I got out of the military and being from Brooklyn, Spike Lee watching Do the Right Thing. I don't think Do the Right Thing was either She's Gotta Have It or School Days. I'm like, who is this director?
All great movies.
Yes. Who is this director? And once I saw Do the Right Thing on DVD, I was like, wow, a voice inside me said, you could do this too. Mm-hmm. And that was in, that happened when I saw More Better Blues. When I left the theater, after More Better Blues, God said you could do this as well. So 7 years later, that's when I put pen to paper and started my mission as becoming a professional writer.
Right, but it sounds like you were already professionally writing before you knew that that's what you were doing. When you were writing to your girlfriends, your homegirls, all that other stuff. And by the way, we love getting that stuff. Anybody who's watching, we love getting that stuff. So keep doing it. It's not an 80s thing. It's not a 90s thing. It's a now thing. But when there's passion in there, you develop that when you first pick up that book and you saw that I'm interested in this. So the interest was first. And then it was the passion followed. And then when you see it on screen, because these are the same things that are being written in books or written in somewhere, now it's on screen. So, okay, I can take my thoughts, I can take my ideas, and I can visualize them for everyone to see and to feel the same thing that I'm feeling right now. And that's the most amazing thing about it. Being able to develop characters, round them out, make them say exactly what it is that you want to say is the most amazing thing ever. But we're going to get into more of that in just a moment, because we're going to talk about that passion and how it even developed even more. So there's always that moment where passion becomes purpose. When did you realize, and I think we kind of talked about it, but I want you to expound a little bit more about how you realized it wasn't just something that you enjoyed, but this was your calling. Because saying that you want to do it is one thing, but knowing that it's your calling and your life's purpose is different.
I started working at the post office late 92, 93 as holiday help. And eventually, over time, 1996, I became a career employee, a letter carrier in Lower East Side, Manhattan. And 97, when I was delivering mail, I had this customer mention, like why we getting our mail late, and because it was the Christmas time, we had a lot of mail and everything, And he said something that was just so crazy. And I thought about it, stayed with me. And the following day, I got an idea. I said, you know what? Let me write a story about the post office. And it started in a screenplay format. And I asked myself, okay, why do I want to write this? Okay. Of course, I want to write, you hear a lot of people talk about people going postal here, postal there. At that time, I was probably like 6 or 7 years in with the post office. And I had an amazing time at the time, while I was working at the post office. Okay. School station, I had a great time, And I wasn't even aware of the term going postal until I heard somebody else mention that. And I'm like, what's going postal? And it's like a derogatory statement, okay, amongst the postal people, employees in general. So I said, you know what? I'm going to write a realistic storyline about people's lives inside and outside the post office environment, all right? It wasn't going to be cookie cutter. It wasn't going to be demeaning. And I also wasn't going to make it commercialized. Like, yay, is something, I was going to give an honest depiction of what the postal life is all about. Okay, good, bad, and different. What could be improved on? What is good about it? All right, something similar to how The Wire is. Okay, I wanted to be an honest storyteller. Okay, and you mentioned like, how do I want my writing to be purposeful? That set the tone, because I said whatever I'm going to write or create, it's got to have some type of purpose tied into it, okay? So it can help people, impact people, have people have, I guess, a different perspective of what they read or what they watched, because I'm a filmmaker as well. I know we're going to touch on the film later on, but I said, if I'm going to be a writer, I'm going to have something to say visually, visually, okay? Because at the time, like I said, Postal started off as a screenplay, but it morphed into a book. Okay.
Gotcha. And I love that. And because you said that was going right there, so you must be on the same wavelength as me. But you've made that major decision to step away from stability. We said you worked for the post office for a long time, right? And pursue filmmaking full time. That's hard. It's a sacrifice. It's a labor of love that a lot of people don't understand. They just think, oh, you're successful. You know what I mean? Or you've done it, but it is hard. So what did that moment look like for you?
Okay, well, let me just kind of correct y'all. I didn't totally walk away from stability, because I'm still working as we speak. Okay. The goal is to become full-time content creators, me and my wife. All right. Okay. But I did step away from the post office when we moved down here to North Carolina. But then I had, mediocre jobs here and there, worked for Pepsi, another vending company, but now I work at a steel company. I think this is my 11th year I've worked for them. I took a break, or I resigned in 2021 from my steel company after we filmed our first feature film, in pursuit on doing it full time. But again, when you don't really properly plan your exit plan, things happen where I eventually became a substitute teacher for 3 years, and then I wound up going back to the steel company. But I never let go of my dream, okay? Because it's gonna happen. Got it. I got to continue to increase my faith. So I don't want nobody thinking that I'm full time. That's the goal, okay? But I'm
speaking that goal into it with you, because listen, I'm all about positivity.
Goal into existence, yes, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Me and my wife, whenever me and my wife walk, we always thank God for everything, and thanking God for the next season, because God's been opening up our eye for the past 3-4 seasons on little things that's been happening, opportunities that presented itself and we jumped on it. Okay, we didn't turn a blind eye. We didn't ignore it. You gotta know when there's an opportunity that's God ordained, and that's like those are the building blocks that's going to lead to them doors that's going to eventually open and connect you with the people that you need to connect to, and that's what's been happening. All right, so I'm excited for our future. Very excited.
Oh, and I'm excited for you because when it's for you, everything will fall in place, and you won't even have to look for it. You won't have to ask for it. You won't have to do anything. And when you're trying to become independent, self-publishing, and you have to fund your own stuff, it's those blessings that carry you through, right? Yes. And it's just so amazing. And so what I want, and this is something that we both know, but I need my viewers to know, why is that so important to have that ownership? Why is that so important to you?
When I transitioned the poster story from screenplay to the novel, once I completed it, took many years, okay, to get it done through life, raising, our young adults. And 2009, 2010, when I was done, all right, and I sent out query letters to literary agents to represent me to big publishing companies, all right? I think I sent out like 9, right? And got 9 rejection letters back, okay? And that happens to the ones that's well-known and famous, from Stephen King to Terry McNeil, go so forth and so on. You get rejection letters, but they get hundreds, all right? 9 was enough for me to say, you know what? And I think even then, I said, maybe I want to go the self-publishing route, because I do want to, and it wasn't so much of owning at the time, it was me owning my creativity, okay? Because I didn't want nobody telling me what to do and what not to do, even though there are times when you need that, of course, yeah. But I said, I want to do this on my own, okay? So I learned how Barnes & Noble was our Google at the time, because we really didn't have computers in our home like that. So I would go to Barnes & Noble to pick up a book on how to write a screenplay, how to self-publish a novel. So I bought a book and went through the steps at the time of getting a typesetter, getting several editors, some illustrator who's going to actually, the printing company who's got to put it all together. And I created my company at the time, which was called Level 44 Publications. That was back in 2011. In 2012, that's when I launched it as a self-publishing company. So ownership is definitely, it's definitely the way to go, because all these big companies, they're owning their own stuff, okay? And not just the publishing. I'm just talking about the Columbias, the Universal Studios, okay? They own their own stuff at a level that we strive to be a part of. Well, I said, you know what, I'm gonna own it at this level, okay? Because I think of Omar Tyree, I think of what Terry McMillan went through, Spike Lee, okay? Listening to people's sharing their journeys, okay? Their trials and errors on what worked for them, and them owning their own content. Look at, we can all point to Tyler Perry. You see where he at, and Will Packard.
And it's more about owning your voice, because when you go to someone else, right? And yes, they may have the big checks and all this other stuff, but what happens is your voice gets diminished.
It does.
Because they're telling you, well, you can say this, but you can't say that. You can do this, but you can't do that.
Yes.
And if your passion is what you're passionate, you have something to say, it's and very important to make sure that people hear it the way you want it to be heard. Exactly. And that's what the Tyler Perrys and the Spike Lees and the Terry McMillans, and they all did that. They said, I'm going to give my voice the way I want it done, not the way you want me to give my voice. And so that's very important.
Yes.
Yeah, they expect us to be so hungry that we will sell ourselves short to get the dollar. When the dollar will follow if we're doing what we're called to do anyway.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. It's gonna follow you. Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing about not to cut you off, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
In order to do all of that, you really have to have a soul commitment. And of course, it has to be your calling, but you really have to invest in yourself like no other. Okay, you have to invest in yourself financially, spiritually, everything. Thank God. Let me tell you something. And for all the listeners that's going to be watching this, when I decided in 1997 to start writing professionally, it was no mistake that my wife came into my life because I prayed for her. I needed somebody like-minded and pretty much the female version of me. Went to the club, found her. We've been married for 27 years. But we are in alignment with everything because she's an English major. She became my editor and everything. Why I'm saying all this? Because she's invested in not only me, but our future as a company. Okay? And I thank God for having my wife as my partner, my life partner. And it's very crucial to have, okay? Because
that is their sole foundation. If you don't have someone who has your back completely, it's too easy for you. You need that person that when you feel like giving up, that say, no. And we're not done yet. This is just a lull in our situation. That person that's going to be able to think further than what you think to say, and it's not that they're better than you, is that they can think further than you where you're not there. They're your match. It's that where I'm short, you got me. And it's vice versa. And that's so important, especially in this business, because it's so cutthroat. It's so, either they want me or they don't. And you have to have those people in your corner that says, I don't care what they said, it's what he says. We got this and we're going to go forward and we're going to do this. And I love her for that. Like, I don't even know your wife, but I love her for that.
And you know what? And you know what I was about to say? You already met my wife, or you already described her. You just described her. Where she's no one to play with, okay? And she's not a yes person either, okay? Not to me, not to our craft or anything. Or oh my God, we had our battles when we was editing. Because when you work on a project for so long, it's you treat it like it's your baby, but it's not even yours. Yes. It's for the world. But before you can give it to the world, you got to have people to really polish it up. When she became our final editor, we went through it because I was the one that was holding us back because I was holding on to stuff that I wasn't allowing her to do what she was supposed to do. And then I realized
she was brought in your life to be your helpmeet for real. And that's not just at the home, it's in your business.
Yes.
It's in your business.
And I really had to check amazing. I really had to check myself. I was like, I prayed for this lady and she got all this talents in her. She's an English major. How the hell am I go to combat an English major? Who am I to tell her that? You know what I'm saying? I barely graduated out of high school. You know what I'm saying? So
but it's not even about her English major, which I'm great. Yes. I love that, right? I'm all about education. Yes. But it was even more so that her life's path crossed with yours because you needed her.
Yes.
You needed her.
I needed her.
Because she was going to be the one to take you to that, help you, not take you, but help you go to that next level. And we have to be careful with that. We don't want to make it seem like because nobody is there. Because listen, in everything that I do, I have my battles as well. And I have to get out of my own mind like you did to say that sometimes what I feel is not what is industry standard, what is going to touch someone else. This is me because it's mine and it's what I want. But I'm not thinking what the people want. And when that other person comes in and says, that's not how you need to do it. I'm in my feelings. And I'm like, wait, don't step on my stuff. What are you talking about? And it's so amazing that when you see the final product, you're like, oh, that's what you were talking about. Okay. And so it humbles you but you're also grateful that you were open enough to allow that person that you let into your life cope you. It's so amazing.
I had to get out of my own way.
Yes.
I really had to get out of my own way. Like you said, I had to humble myself and take a step back and see what was happening at the moment, at real time back then. And I really checked myself. And I let her do what she was supposed to do from that moment on. Okay. Her voice mattered. Her voice counted. And I had to take a step back, and I just marvel for her and I just cherish her, because it's not only that, she's already like, okay, I know we're going to get to this part later on, but right now we in the process of shopping our miniseries around. Okay. All right. Of Postal. Okay. Because I created a 13 episodic miniseries. And we see it on a streaming platform. Okay.
Okay.
And she's been doing her homework as far as like who we need to meet up with in California, in Atlanta, so that's where we at right now. And I mean, she does her homework big time. And I thank God, because she know I've done a lot. She's done a lot, and she take a lot off my plate. And she, y'all women, y'all got a perspective and about everything. And she's here. She like you just said, she's here for a reason. Our marriage is purpose-filled, okay? I do what I'm supposed to do, and she's supposed to do what she's supposed to do in our marriage, okay? And that's how we
And it works.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And it works.
And
it works.
All right, we're going to pause this amazing conversation for just a moment, because this is the part of the show that defines who we are. This is Smoke and Ice. Tonight, we're featuring Green River Bourbon, a bourbon that really leans into balance and approachability while still carrying enough complexity to keep seasoned bourbon drinkers interested. On the nose, you're getting soft vanilla caramel, toasted oak, and just a touch of citrus brightness. Once it hits the palate, it opens beautifully with layers of honeyed sweetness, light spice, and smooth oak. It's refined without trying too hard. And the finish is clean, warm, and mellow, making this one of those bourbons you can just really sit with during a great conversation like we're having today. So let me go ahead and pour, because I'm really interested in what this is. So let's do it. Y'all know I gotta have my stuff on the rocks because I can't do it without, but let's go on ahead and see if it's everything that it is. So cheers to all of my viewers. Let's see. So I'm definitely getting the toasted oak. I'm definitely getting the notes of vanilla. Listen, guys, I find it hard to find the caramel in anything because I'm not a sweet follower. I don't like it, but it is a very great smooth bourbon. And just like I said, if you're new to bourbon, let's go ahead and try this one. But we would not be Smoke and Ice without our smoke. So let's bring the smoke on. Tonight's featured cigar is the Rocky Patel Emerald. This cigar brings a smooth, creamy, smoky experience with notes of cedar, earth, salt pepper, and just enough sweetness to keep everything balanced. Now, let me say something about that pepper, because I don't like pepper. I'm going to go off for just a moment. A nice, delicate pepper is okay with me, but not a peppery. And there's a difference between the tobacco and the pepper. Pepper is a little bit different. I don't mind the tobacco, but I don't like the pepper. So let's keep it going. It's elegant without losing character. And when paired with the smooth profile of Green River Bourbon, the experience becomes incredibly cohesive. So we're going to go ahead and light up. And I purposely left the wrapper on because this brings me so much into, listen, if you like Wizard of Oz, if you like The Wiz, I don't care, but this is Emerald City right here. So we're going to go ahead and remove this and light up. So let's do it. So it is very smooth. It's smoother than the profile actually lends to. I'm not a heavy. I love Maduros. I love a very mild to medium pull when I'm smoking a cigar. something that's too heavy is really not for me. You'll get that from me when we're talking on the show here. But this is really good. So for you newbies, for you aficionados, try it. I like it. But now it's time for my flavor science. How do the two go together? I love this part, because here's where the flavor science comes in. This pairing works because both the bourbon and cigar live in similar flavor families: vanilla, oak creaminess, and soft spice. The bourbon's brightness helps elevate the cigar's creamy texture, while the cigar softens and rounds out the bourbon's lighter, spicier notes. Neither one overpowers the other. It really doesn't. Instead, they move together. That's what makes this pairing feel refined, smooth, and complete. And I love it. And that's exactly what we do here on Smoke and Ice. This is what we're all about. Real conversation, a bold cigar, an experience that stays with you, because when everything comes together like this, it's not just something you watch, it's something you feel. So we're going to get back into this conversation, because there's more here that you don't want to miss. And just to let you know, our sponsor is Joker Smoker, and they have 2 locations that we'll put up for you to see. If you are in the Triangle area, make sure to go in. And if you do, make sure to tell them that Smoke and Ice sent you. Their staff is knowledgeable and so very helpful, and will lead you on your journey, whether you are new or old, to smoking cigars. Joker Smoker, we love them. Thank you, Ali. Smoke and Ice continues next.
Hi, I'm Kelly Allen. Join me each weekday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for Midday Energy Rush on Positive365.net. I'll bring you all your favorite music from every genre and every decade, plus comedy and positive thoughts all in one place. Go to Positive365.net and you won't be disappointed. That's Positive365.net. We're positively different.
Positively different. Positive 365.
When you have that right person behind you, they're there not only to root in your corner, but they're there to push you and be your, like you said, she's doing the humber. She's making the connections, because that's who I am. I'm that person. I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? All right, well, let's do this. You got to do this, and that. Okay, wait, no, don't even worry about it. I got it. I'm making calls. I'm doing this because that's my energy.
Yes.
And you got a real one. Listen, let me tell you something. You got a real one.
I know I do.
I'm loving her.
I know I do. And I thank God for her every day. Okay? But she really don't have to do it, but she does it. And she does it wholeheartedly. And she sees the vision. She sees where our books can go. Okay? Because she's a creator herself. Okay? And she sees, she's really in it. And I thank God we're in the trenches together. And I'm glad she's my rock, I'm her rock. And together we're making this happen.
Nice. So we talked a lot about Postal, right? But let's go into Urge a little bit. All right. So what inspired you to tell that story, and why was it important to put that message out into the world?
Okay. Urge is my first feature film. And the synopsis is: a husband in denial of a porn addiction, which is damaging his relationship with his wife and his family to a core. But then a divine force coming to his life, all right, to make him see himself, okay? And that's pretty much loosely based on my life, okay? I had a porn addiction for close to 2 decades, all right, before I met my wife. And it's crazy, when I met my wife, it kind of subsided. It went to I didn't deal with that at the time. But once we got married and once we moved down here to North Carolina, we got our house, we got a computer in our home. And one night I started surfing. Next thing you know, I went right back into that addiction for years. And I was masking it. And it got to a point where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. But before I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, in the eye of that storm, God said, you're going to write about this one day. All right. You're going to write about this one day. So I already started outlining Urge. Okay. It was a title Urge at the time. It didn't have a title. I was just outlining what I was going through while I was getting Postal together as a book. All right. So fast forward, we selling Postal here and there. We going to festivals here and there selling the Postal books. And I kept writing, the follow-up novel version, which was titled Urge. Okay. I was writing it as a novel. All right. And I told you I already wrote the episodes of the Postal series. So we was going to film the first episode of the Postal series in March of 2020. Okay? What happened that year, 2020, especially around that time? The pandemic. COVID.
Yeah, COVID.
And, all right? So we was this close to filming, but that didn't happen, okay? But then, and COVID, that pandemic, it did a lot. It destroyed our families. People, passed away. And it was just a crazy time in everybody's life. But at the same time, it set people down to think and reflect on their future, okay? I was one of them. I know millions of people was reflecting like, wow, my life could have been taken away. What should I be doing with my life? For me,
Right.
I was like, man, I was going down the wrong road with this whole Postal thing. Because even though I had the money to film the first episode, I didn't have money for the rest of the episodes. So what was I really doing? Okay, I was going to shoot myself in the foot. And we refinanced this home. We refinanced our house in order to get the money that I wanted to finance the first episode. So when the pandemic shut the world down and I was in a depressed mode, like, man, I was really about to put us in a bind. And I spoke to my wife. I spoke to our casting director, LaQuanda Plant from Atlanta, about me going down the wrong path with filming the first episode of Postal. And my casting director, she was like, I told you not to go that route, but you was going to do what you was going to do. I said, I know. She said, well, why don't you film a feature film? Me, I can get stubborn. I'm a stubborn person. My wife points that out for me. I'm a nice guy. Yeah, she's stubborn too. I think we all got a level of stubbornness, but right? So I kind of like brushed it off, right? My job was still open. We were still working at the time. So I went to work the next day and I thought about what LaQuanda said. Went home that night and I spoke to my wife. I'm like, what should we do? Okay. And my wife said, pray on it. My wife said, pray on it. We went to bed. I woke up, looked at her, and I said, we're going to film Urge as a feature film. She said, let's do this. All right. So the next 3 months, I didn't finish writing Urge as a book. I converted what I had and finished it as a screenplay. I shared it with my director of photography. He's like, oh yeah, let's do this. This a good story. And I shared it with LaQuanda. Okay. These people, this is their first time hearing about my story. Okay. Of my addiction. Okay. They were like, this is good here. This is really good. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it, but whenever you have free time, just watch it. All right. Because it's like a faith-based type of film. Okay. Mm-hmm. Even though it has some cursing in it, the tones are, yeah, okay. This is real life.
I got
okay?
you.
This is straight real life. Okay. So I created the and even when I finished it as a screenplay, I let my wife read it. She got to read over everything, and we talked about it. Okay, because now I'm putting her out there because she's my wife. that's married to a person that was addicted to porn. And
Right.
when we had a conversation, and I said, it's not about me or you, okay? It's about who can be impacted by this story, okay? So we've started filming March of the next year, 2021. It was a 10-day shoot, beautiful 10-day shoot, and we premiered it in late September, October, and November of 2021. Charlotte, Atlanta, and Houston. Okay, Charlotte, it was 3 showings. Yeah, it was 3 showings. It was 2 showings in Atlanta and 1 showing in Houston.
In Houston?
No, 2 Houston. Yeah, 2 screenings in Houston. Every single one of those screenings, somebody that was in the audience was thanking me for writing this story or sharing my story with the world. In Charlotte, in Atlanta, and Houston. I just want to touch on Houston. The last show we did, right? This after it went off, and I had my Q&A, and it was picture time, right? Everybody want to take pictures with me and the lead actress. But this one of the attendees say, Mr. McNeil, can I speak to you in the lobby? I said, okay, cool. Because I'm thinking it's going to be a short, conversation. Before we can even go to the lobby, this married couple pulled me to the side and said, thank you. Thank you so much. Now the wife is talking to me. Thank you so much. My husband been dealing with this addiction for a while, and I told him I was going to leave him twice. But thank you for sharing your being transparent with your story. Both of them thanking me. Now the other guy, he just patiently waited, okay? And I'm like, man, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And that's why I wrote, and that's why I did this film. So the guy, they left. The guy, me and him, we went out to the lobby. He said, let's go outside. Now I'm like, damn, you going outside? What's going on? Are we gonna fight? What we gonna do outside? So we went outside, and I swear to you, Kelly, he looked at me and was like, and his eyes was like, how did you get over it? I'm still in the middle of this. How? I'm still fighting this. I go to church and everything. So we spent a good 20 minutes outside. My wife and everybody didn't know where I was at because I was supposed to be taking pictures inside. They eventually came out and saw that I was talking to the attendee, and me and him exchanged numbers, and from that day on, for a good year, I checked in on him to see how he was doing. And I said, this is making an impact.
It is. It does make an impact. And that's what our stories are for. When we hide from, or we ignore the things that really can touch other people, because everyone is going through something, right?
Yes.
That's when we lose the opportunities to impact an audience. You can write anything, but if you write from the heart, it's going to do better than something that could fabricate. And that comes, and that's another skill, and that's a great thing. But when you're giving something that you actually been through, it gives a different tone. It gives a different feeling that actually touches people.
Yeah.
And you get those things to say, you touched me. How did you do this? I'm going through this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The thank yous come out because it's real life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we need as people. We're so caught up in the fictional and everything that we want to do in the fantasy. That's fine. That's great. It sells and it does wonderfully. But what about the real, the grit, the grime, the muck that we go through every single day? And we're afraid to give that because we expose ourselves. I don't mind exposing myself if I'm healed and I'm now able to tell you how you can get through it too. Because we go through stuff all the time. I have no problem with that. None.
I remember, and thank you for that. I remember one of my homeboys who worked in the post office, when I told people about what was the next project after Postal, and I shared this story with them, my friend, he asked me, and he asked it out of concern, honest concern. He's not, you're not embarrassed about that? At one time, I probably would have been. But at that time, I said no. Because this is going to help people who's going through this particular addiction, okay? Because, you can actually see people who has an alcohol problem. You can kind of see them going through it visually, okay? Or somebody addicted to a drug. You kind of see, but you don't know the people that are addicted to an addiction like porn. You really don't see that, okay? And I remember my lead actor, Morris P. Carey, when we was doing Q&A, I guess, in Atlanta, and he said, "I want to thank you, Pete, because." No, it was on an interview. He said Peter McNeil, he could have been selfish and kept that story to himself, but he shared his testimony for people that's going through the same thing he's going through, and I commend him for that because not too many people are willing to share that type of story. Okay, and he thanked my wife for supporting me. So, yeah.
So we talked a lot about what has come from this film. But what did producing this film teach you, not just creatively, but personally, in all that was said? If you can, one word, 2 words, several words, what did you teach you?
That I'm going to love this next season. I love filming. I love the aspect. And that was during the pandemic where we had to be masked up and everything, had to check temperatures and all that. But I loved it. I love the community. I love the collaboration. Okay. And I love telling a story through visual medium. Okay. Because that's how Postal started. That's why I can't wait. But other than that, oh man, it taught me that it's a collaboration. It's a collaborative effort. Okay. Because you have to have everybody that's on the same page. All right. Of the ultimate goal. Okay. And I have to be willing to be flexible and let the actors do what they do. My first director, the DP, to get the shots that I aimed for, and I was still learning. Okay, but he was already seasoned enough to know exactly what kind of shots I needed. So I was a sponge while I was directing. Okay, because it's my first time. Okay. But that energy and knowing, it's going to be long days, long sets. And we was organized right out the gate. Because I told my wife and my crew, because, a lot of people was working. We had people subbing for other people. We had our main production crew that was in it 24/7, but we had to have help from our friends and family. And everything just flowed, and I love that.
And listen, I love that too, because when you said 10 days and it was your first, I've been in and out of the film industry for a very long time. And so I've been on the professional side and I've been on the amateur side. And normally the amateur side does not do 10 days. It's not. So when you said my urge was 10 days shot, I was like, wait, you perfect. Like you're amazing. But I digress in saying that when you said that, because that's just so amazing. And I've seen so much in my life, but because you've done not only novels and you've done films, how does that storytelling process differ between the two? Or is it similar?
With writing a novel, you really have to go in deep, okay? And give the backdrops to the storylines. The characters have all characters, whether it's the novel or a feature film, they have to be 3-dimensional. And you want them to be real, okay? With a book, you really, I don't want to say I'm old school, but it takes a while to really create a book, okay? If you really wanted to be visually telling, really thought-provoking and everything, that's what, to me, writing a novel is. Writing a screenplay, you really got to make sure the dialogue is kind of quick. Okay, it's no fluff. You already know. You gotta really tell the story in a timely manner. With a book, you got all the time in the world. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And you got to lay it out because they can't see it. So you have to round out every character. You have to describe everything to a point.
You got to give them a backstory and everything. Okay. Their personal backstory, where they live at. You want people to feel that they're there with that character. All right.
Right.
And I'm so humbled and thankful. A lot of readers got that from reading my work. Okay. And I appreciate people that have been supporting us over the years.
You're so amazing. You're so amazing. And I'm getting the side eye from my producer. So I've got several more things, but I have so much more because I was really waiting to talk to you. Like, this was one of my most sought after interviews because it's just, I love your story. I love your work. I love how you approach everything. So I'm gonna stop. I promise. But I don't want to. Right. I will be remiss if I don't talk about the work that you do with the youth, with the community and everything else. You teach writing, workshops, you involve them in productions. Why is that so important to you?
Our kids need us, and we have to reach back out and to serve the underserved youth. You know, our community, they need it from every facet. We started the Brothers for Life organization, nonprofit. I believe it was 2020 during the pandemic. Okay.
Right.
And it was cool. It was a big group with 9, 10 of us. And just learning how to run a nonprofit, but at the same time, we going out there being in schools, in correctional facilities, in Charlotte, in Waysboro, North Carolina, everywhere. Schools, like I think I told you, all schools, in the neighborhoods, just being an impact in the youth's lives. And not just them, the parents as well. Okay, and we all members had a different skill set or a different journey to share with the youth. Okay, doing ties for that. We did so many functions, and we did so much. You know, President Roger Haley, he's a former baseball player, so we're underneath the umbrella of the sports academic part of Brothers for Life. I don't want to waste time, but everybody had their own purpose bringing it into this organization. And I had to kind of like peel away that last year because at first I had to go back to work, and I'm full throttle with me and my wife shopping this series around. Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, we really got to get this off the ground. And it's happening. And we thank God that it's happening.
And it's going to, and I'm gonna say one thing and then we're gonna go on to something else. But the pandemic for our youth forced our youth to go into a different mindset, because before the pandemic, it was all about playing games, doing whatever we want to do. But now that you're stuck, you can't go out with your friends, you can't do anything else. My daughter would sit in her room, and she has several books right now that I'm trying to convince her to release. She has scripts that she has written that I'm trying to get her to put out there. I said, you are young. I said, you took after me, yes, but you took this time that you didn't think that you had in you because of the pandemic. Then you stuck in your room, then you stuck there, and you released that creative activity. So I love what you're doing because you told the youth that through this, you have a voice and you can tell your voice and you have a story. And just because you have a 4-block radius that you think you live in, there's a whole world out there that wants to hear what you got to say, that you can visit, that you can be in, and anything else. And that's what I told my children. I've got 2. My son will be 26 tomorrow. Okay, and my daughter is 19, and she's over there at UNC Charlotte. So I just moved her home. Yeah, I just moved her home for the summer. But she's got a whole library full of stuff because she's her mother's child, And I love that. I love what you're doing because not everybody, I influenced her, and I let her know that she could, and she did. but you are telling children they can and then did. So I love that. But we've got one more thing before we close out of here because I'm getting this whole side eye and I'm not liking it.
One more. Yeah.
But we've got a segment on here on Smoke and Ice that we call the lightning round. All right, film or book?
Film.
All right. Spike Lee or Stephen King, who influenced you more?
Spike.
Perfect. Ownership or opportunity, what matters more?
Ownership.
One word that describes your creative style.
Eclectic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Biggest risk. Oh God. And we've all taken them. Biggest risk you've ever taken.
Refinancing this home to film my first project.
Awesome. One moment you almost gave up.
Oh, man. Never.
Never. I love it.
Never.
Listen, that's classic. I love it.
I'm about
What
to be.
keeps you-
I'm about to be 60 years old in August, and I'm still
Uh-huh.
excited as if I wrote this back in 1997. That excitement is
I
still
love-
there.
And it should be. It's whatever. It's like our kids. We're never disappointed. No matter what happens, we're never disappointed. And
Exactly.
I love that.
Okay.
What keeps you going when things get hard? I know this answer. I want to hear from you. It better be right, boy. No, I'm joking.
What keeps me going?
Yes.
My faith in God. My
Okay.
faith.
You know what? So I can't even get mad at that, but I was hoping you said your wife.
She was next.
I was hoping you said your wife.
She was next. She was next.
Okay.
Okay. But I give it to God. Okay. She's
Okay,
always next.
right.
But she's always okay. Yeah.
Right. And you know what? You're right. But I was thinking surface instead of wholeheartedly. But yes, it's God first and wife next. But her right there, like when I'm coming to Charlotte to see my baby, I need to meet up with her. We need to have lunch. But anyway.
Oh, and y'all have to. Y'all have to. And after that, I won't be nowhere around because y'all gonna be like this. But she's such
I love
a
it.
social butterfly. She's a people person. She will love you.
Yes, me too. Yes, exactly. So we're going to set that up. If your life were a movie, what would be the title?
About time.
I like it. One message you want young creators to hear.
Don't let your past dictate your future.
Love it. And the last one right here, legacy or success. Which one are you choosing?
All right, I'm gonna say it like this. I guess success is gonna breed legacy. I believe a successful you are is gonna breed that legacy.
Do you know what? That set me back. Like I'm never not one for words, but it's that right there was something that everyone needs to hear because we always feel like we have to choose, but one leads into the other.
Exactly.
And that is so perfectly said. Like, oh my gosh, wow. Okay. All right.
Wow.
I'm gonna get myself together.
Did I pass?
You did pass.
Okay.
Oh my God, you passed it. You set me on a whole journey into my thought process, but that makes so much sense.
Okay.
But listen, oh my gosh, I really appreciate everything that you give me, all that you are. Looking forward, what's next for you? New films, new books, new projects.
It's the miniseries, like I told you earlier. We're shopping at
Right.
and also working on my wife. She's an educator of over 30 plus years, and she
Okay.
started a YouTube channel for her curriculum. Okay, well, being that she's an English major, she has her name of her curriculum is Prep with Miss Pam. Okay, where she gives strategies and tips to either new teachers, parents, or teachers in general, tips and strategy on how to get the struggling readers to improve in reading in English. You can reach out to me through our social media platform, Facebook, Peter McNeil, TikTok, author Peter McNeil, Instagram, Peter McNeil 44. Our YouTube channel together is called This Is the Day. Pete and Pam presents This Is the Day podcast. That's on my YouTube channel. And her YouTube channel is Prep with Miss Pam YouTube channel. Okay. Yeah, you can follow us there. Yeah. So, and the reason I shout my man out, that's Denver, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because I film my wife's, episodes. So,
Nice.
You,
I love it. I love it.
Thank you both. I really appreciate this.
Peter, no, thank you. And Peter, I appreciate you sharing your story today with us, because what you've shown us is that success isn't just about talent, it's about belief, sacrifice, and the courage to create your own path. Yes. And that's something a lot of people need to hear. And what I needed to hear, even though I'm creating my own path, sometimes you feel a little weary in the motion. And to know that, don't give up. Just keep pressing. Keep doing what you're doing, because you have something to give, whether it's what everyone, because we've got so much things and the reactionary and all this other stuff. But when it's solid, when it's purposed,
yes,
it means a whole lot more. And even if it goes slow, it'll still impact somebody somewhere.
Amen.
And this is what people need to hear. I love it. I love it. I love it. To everyone watching and listening, thank you for joining us for another episode of Smoke and Ice. Until next time, I'm Kelly.
And I'm Peter McNeil.
Let's spark something real.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. This is amazing for me. I love it.
We hope you've enjoyed Smoke and Ice with Kelly Allen. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Tell a friend so they too can be informed and entertained. For more information about the show, go to smokeandice.net.